But on the other hand, man, I just as soon keep working, keep a little change in my pocket. Yeah? Wait. Rather than spend my time listening to some dipshit who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about anyway.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you wherever you are, because it is Morning Somewhere for December 27th, 2023. My name is Burnie Burns. With me sitting right over there is the lovely, lovely Ash Burns. Hey, Ash, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I've almost survived a whole year.
A whole year of?
The year, 2023.
Do you think that years matter that much?
They're just a nice way for us to break up time, right?
I like that we're going to have, by the way, we're starting a podcast. And in our second or third episode, we're going to have a yearly wrap up. I'm sure we're going to do that.
This year in the podcast. Yeah, did you see Xbox?
I know. I saw the Xbox thing. I got to explain that intro. I'm sorry. I got to take a second.
You have to. We'll come back to it.
So hi everybody. How you doing? I love morning rituals. I think, especially I tend to be more of a morning person. Ashley, you tend to not be a morning person.
That's why we're very, very lucky that we're 6 hours ahead of where we used to be. So I don't have to be a morning person in order to do a morning show.
It is nice. So back up, little backstory. Let's play a little catch up. How's everybody doing? About 6 years ago, 2017, 2018, I went to Ashley and I said, hey, I got this idea. I have the feeling that if we can get an internet connection and we could get packages delivered, we could pretty much live anywhere in the world, because that's about 90% of modern living, it seems like, these days. And so I made the pitch to you. I said, we should go live on a boat.
Absolutely not. That was immediately. By the way, getting both internet and packages on a boat, not as easy as you tried to make it sound, sir.
But here's the thing. It wasn't a real pitch. That was the pitch that I gave you so that you would say, absolutely not. So then we could follow up with the next pitch, which was, I had never lived outside the U.S. before. And you lived in Australia for how long?
About 4 years.
We're getting so deep into tangents here, but what was that? Like, explain why you just picked up and left and went to Australia.
One, it was really nice to spend time outside the U.S. I'd sort of got the bug after doing the smallest amount of traveling in Europe and wanted to experience life somewhere different. And it was very different. It was great. It gave me an appreciation both for how things in the U.S. are good and how they can be better elsewhere as well. There's a mix. There's never all of one or the other.
So we were in a unique position. It was a window in time where the older kids were becoming adults and finishing school and moving off. We thought we could have a transition period where we were between two countries. And so we started a search for a place to live. And we looked for, I'd say, about 2 years before we settled on our home here in lovely Scotland. That's where we live now. We live in Scotland. And Scotland has the advantage of where we used to live in that it is 6 hours in advance, so we can make a morning show. And I like morning shows because they were always part of my ritual. I always feel like your morning is when you have the last bit of control over your day. If you wake up early enough, you can, have your cup of coffee, you can read your news, listen to your podcast, whatever. And so going all the way back to university, I would listen to Howard Stern, and man, when that Rob Zombie song would start, that was like, yes, that's the beginning of my day.
So get your blood pumping. Intro's
very silly. I love it. The best part about this is I get to do all the dumb, silly stuff that I love anyway. And maybe you'll like it, or maybe you won't. Maybe this will become part of your morning ritual. We'll try to keep the show pretty short. Probably 15, 20 minutes is where we try to keep it.
That's the goal.
If we don't go off on tangents and
which we
stuff.
Always do.
But it's just me getting a chance to sit down with my wife. And it's nice to have that structure because, Ash, we had a social media break after we moved away from the U.S. We also made the decision to kind of go dark on social media because all that stuff was completely taking over our lives, not just our professional lives, but getting into our personal lives and everything else as well, like it does for a lot of people, I think, these days.
Yeah, it's really easy to just dive further down and down and down and down and down into social media. So it was nice to cut it off entirely. We'd already done that once before, not for nearly as long, but while we were filming Amazing Race, we weren't allowed to have phones or anything. So while that was difficult for a day or two, then we realized how kind of nice it was to have that disconnect and to not be constantly paying attention to what are people on the internet saying, and how am I involved in this, and what do I have to say about this? And it was really nice when we did that, and a little bit disturbing when we got back from Amazing Race, how quickly we fell right back into it. So it was nice to just take a multi-year break and kind of ramp down, disconnect from it, and just be us.
You know, the closest thing I can equate it to is that everyone went through was COVID. Because when COVID hit, it was shocking how fast the world changed, and then equally as shocking, or maybe even more so, at how quickly it all changed back. Like, we went from masks everywhere, social distancing, to then just a few months after we decided it was done, we were all packed in together on subways and buses and trains and things like that.
And that still feels weird sometimes.
Do you still get a kind of a every now and then?
Yeah, it's almost like a moment. Like, you'll just have that moment of realization. Like, 2 years ago, this would have been an absolute no-go. This would have been hell 2 years ago.
I do feel like, though, there was a point in time in like 2020, 2021 when a public cough was a bad scene. Like, if somebody coughed in public, everyone else would have been like, what? Wait. And you would see like a droplet of detergent being dropped into oil. Like,
Everyone scatters.
Yeah. And I feel like we're back to some sense of normalcy. Like, you don't see that as much anymore. Now, I wonder too, like, how many people's relationships were affected because they know who gave them COVID. Like, I know who gave me COVID for the first time. I know that person.
Son of a bitch.
The son of a bitch is fine once you get over it. But there's some people that struggle for a really long time with COVID.
Yeah, and you just never know. It's a roll of the dice.
Why are we talking about COVID? I guess we're playing catch up here on everything. So Ashley and I, we moved to Scotland. We absolutely love it here. The big change for us, in addition from moving from the U.S. to the U.K. and being expats now, I guess is what we're called. It's a weird word, but we also then moved from a major metropolitan area to a very rural area.
So there's a big shift in multiple ways.
I mean, Scotland itself is 5 million people. That's it. It's
how many people in Dallas?
I think there's like 1.5 million in Austin alone.
Wow.
Yeah. Dallas is, I want to say, who knows? Like 3 million. Houston's the biggest one. I think it's like 4 or 5 million. Also, Dallas kind of cheats because it's Dallas and Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's
the weird one was San Antonio.
Megalopolis.
It really is. Like, Austin is weird because it's pretty well known, but it sits in this triangle between these 3 major U.S. Texas cities. Like, San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston are all in the top 10 cities by population in the U.S.
Yeah, Houston's 2 million. San Antonio is 1.5 million. Dallas, I'll look up.
When you hear about San Antonio being big, you kind of have to think about it and go maybe even fact check it. There's another fact like that for when we moved to the UK, where we learned that Rome, Italy is north of New York City. And that blew my mind thinking about the world in that way. To me, if you just went east from New York, you would be in northern France or something like that.
Yeah, I would almost think like Sweden or Switzerland.
But almost all of Europe is like north of the US, almost all of it.
It's pretty crazy to me. Like, my mind still, even though I know that that's fact, you can look at it on the map, my mind still takes a horizontal line from New York and then it just squeeges down to where I think Rome is supposed to be.
Yeah.
My brain refuses to accept that they're on the same latitude.
So this morning, one of our adjustments has been recalibrated for us. I bought for Ashley I should point out to you, Ashley is not feeling well today. She is being a trooper for the very first episode of the podcast. Ashley decided for Christmas dinner, we were going to eat, we were going to eat a ham that she ordered through the mail.
You make that sound ridiculous, but we get everything through the mail.
What do we make it sound ridiculous?
You ordered provolone off Amazon.
Okay, going back to the Rome thing. Rome, Italy it's right there. We're in the UK. It's right fucking there. There's no provolone cheese in all of the UK. And if you look up online, what can I use as a substitute for provolone? It just says cheddar.
Have you considered cheddar?
Everything is cheddar, everything here.
You want jack cheese? Have you considered cheddar? Everything for some reason is cheddar. It's very strange.
When people come to visit us, they usually will come through Edinburgh. And Ashley will always say, like, can you please stop at this shop and get me Monterey Jack cheese? That's what she wants.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's the only place in Scotland that I've found. I'm sure it exists other places at other cheeseries, but but I found it in one place, and so anytime someone comes to visit, they have to bring us Jack cheese.
A fromagerie?
A fromagerie.
Yeah, it's a cheesemonger, I think is actually the technical term.
I love it.
You go to the cheesemonger. There's no other mongers, are there?
Fishmonger?
There's a fishmonger, yeah. Yeah. I want to be like a burger monger. I think I'd make a great burger monger.
I bet you'd be great.
But I'll tell you, our biggest adjustment, we love being out here. We have cows. Some of you on social media, because we made a couple posts on Instagram about Mr. Lamington, who was our beta tester for the podcast. He had to be subjected to all my thoughts about North Korean subs and things like that.
That's why you keep getting headbutted.
And chickens and cows. And I am in the market right now for some runner ducks. And if you don't know what a runner duck is, it is amazing. It's like a duck that stands upright and doesn't fly and just runs like in a standing position.
They look like a joke.
They're awesome. And I can't wait to get them. Although I was told by a friend they shit everywhere. So
I believe it.
now we have toddlers here, so they shit.
They shit everywhere too.
Ashley has bees. You have bees.
Yeah, I love my bees.
But
get that honey.
The recalibration today is I got Ashley for Christmas a drip coffee maker. What would you call it?
It's a drip coffee maker. So
In the US, you just call it a coffee maker.
Yeah, which is totally different. Europe is all espresso based, so the closest you would normally get to an American coffee is an Americano, which is an espresso that they then water down. It is not the same.
You know what else is fascinating here? And you're going to hear a lot about like our adjustments of moving to the UK. And so if you have a problem with that, bail out now.
Pull the ripcord.
We were shocked, or I was shocked at least, by how much people drink instant coffee here, which it exists in the US, but I feel like the instant coffee market has been usurped by those horrible plastic the Keurig cups.
Yeah, like the Nespresso pods or whatever.
Yeah, and the Nespresso, that's the other one. But I always felt like really weird about running boiling hot water through plastic. That always felt really strange to me. So I never liked those things. But I also never drank instant coffee. And people here drink it all the time. And I don't know if that's a rural thing or if that's a UK thing. But
I've never been into instant coffee. Have you tried the instant coffee?
It's actually pretty good.
Okay.
I
wondered if there have been some significant developments in instant coffee technology, or it might also just be that the last time I tried it I was probably like 5 and didn't like coffee. Surprise. And just associated that forever with being bad.
But Ashley, I love the idea that we can sit down together and have a chat every morning, Monday through Friday at least. Weekends, it's all bets are off because then it's just
mayhem.
Surviving with the kids. But we should talk about something current, though. I want to ask you about this because it just came out.
Okay, go ahead.
Xbox just released their version of whatever Spotify Wrapped is. Whatever these, like, hey, here's all the data that we've been collecting on you and storing over the year. And you're like, this is great. Those kinds of things. Got big with Spotify Wrapped. And now Xbox, and it seems like every other service has these things.
I like them. I mean, I know that they do show you the mountain of data that they are tracking, but I kind of almost preferred the transparency. Like, well, it's better to know.
Yeah. So what was for your Xbox? Did you look at yours?
I did. The big game for me was Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay.
That's on Xbox at least. I played mostly Nintendo Switch this year, but my big Xbox game was Hogwarts Legacy. The rest of my Xbox time was probably Netflix.
And would that count as being on Xbox Live?
It doesn't count in the Wrapped.
Okay, there's a little chart there that shows you like the category of game that you played. I was kind of shocked when I saw mine because when I first saw it, it was about 220 hours for the year. And I thought, holy cow, that's nothing. 220 hours over the course of a year. And then I did a breakdown on it, just the math on it. It's a half an hour a day, which seems like that's a lot of time.
You binge a bit though. Like you'll have a Sea of Thieves with the boys, and that will be that'll be 6 hours in a go.
It is. Sea of Thieves was a great game. I still play it, but it was where I had a hardcore crew that I played with, and then I have some friends that I play Halo with. It's weird crossover between that and that group also plays. I'm reluctant to say this.
You got to tell me now.
MetaQuest, which is the VR headset from Facebook, essentially from Meta. which I don't think people realize just how cool that thing is. And we'll leave that topic for another day. But I think most of my time on Xbox Live was spent with what you call the Minecraft gremlin. I made the mistake of showing our 4-year-old, little Mr. Monster, we call him. I showed him Minecraft one day because I think one of the kids in school had a Minecraft shirt on. He asked about it. And JD, he's now 21. Sorry, everybody, to tell you that. He's almost going to be 22 here in a couple of months. JD grew up playing Minecraft, and it's his comfort game. And even now, as like a Gen Z adult, he goes through and like plays every now and then just for comfort, just like as like loading up your favorite song or something like that. Anyway, I showed Finn, our 4-year-old, I showed him Minecraft, and now all he wants to do, it's our ritual before we go to bed, is that he sits with me in the desk chair and he just, how would you describe it? You say he's a gremlin. But
He just sits hunched over like Gollum, just legs up, his gangly little elbows out, and he can't play himself. So he just backseat drives you and tells you exactly what to do in great detail.
Great detail. And I have to do everything. I'm like his proxy in the world. So that must be 30 minutes a day that we do that, maybe 25, 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, it adds up.
But yeah, it's been fun to introduce Minecraft after now, 15 years of that game existing.
When Microsoft bought them for $3 billion or whatever, I did not think it would be possible for them to, make good on that investment. Because by then I thought Minecraft is at its peak. There's no way. I think they have.
Oh yeah,
that's the game that just keeps on.
No, it's the number
going.
one selling game of all time now.
It's wild.
All time, most copies sold of all time, and it's just insane. Yeah, we wouldn't think that by the time they paid $2.5 billion for it or whatever, that already everyone had spent billions on $10 copies of the game up to that point. But they made their money back on it, and they're still working on it. Anyway, we're running at 17 minutes. This is usually as long or longer than we go, right, Ash?
Not really. I mean, we do have tangents, so sometimes we'll get 20 minutes. But the nice thing is, if we didn't get to something today, which, there's always more to talk about, there's always tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow is another day for us. And the other thing, too, is that, we also don't want to be too structured about it. Like, logos are going to change. Theme songs are going to change. It's really just me and Ashley working on this, making websites. It's been fun to do that stuff again.
Yeah, we're doing it really because it's fun. Can we make a deal?
Yes.
If we stop having fun, we just stop.
I couldn't agree more.
Great.
All right. Well, Ash, what do you think? That does it for our first show.
Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations to you, Ashley.
No, to you, sir.
I feel good. Congratulations to everybody all around. I feel like we knocked the dust off. That was good. Fun being back.
I like talking to you, yeah.
I like talking to you too, babe. All right. Well, that does it for us for Morning Somewhere for December 27th. We will be back here tomorrow. We hope you will be as well. Make us part of your morning ritual. We will be here at 6 a.m. If you just click that little subscribe button they say and then the bell and whatever, it'll be downloaded and be waiting for you. We'll talk to you then.